Hey everyone, I wanted to go over the new and exciting news that we got for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak that's set to release onto the Nintendo Switch and on PC next summer. And that's the fact that Director Suzuki for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak has once again go ahead and drop just a little bit of tidbit of information, providing us with a little bit of more insight as to how development is going heading into next year. Remember that the game is set to launch in the summer. A lot of people have been asking me, well, what month in the summer? And the answer is that we basically just don't know. They just keep giving this vague time window of summer 2022, and we don't necessarily have any details beyond any of that. So for right now, pretty much the Twitter account in both Japan and North America went ahead and confirmed, and I'm going to read the Japanese one first, where it basically just says that the voice recording for the characters in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak has already started. The voice actors are giving it their all and they're putting their soul into their wonderful voice acting. Now, meanwhile, the English version for once actually provided us with a little bit of more details, and that actually reads, "Hello everyone. We recently started our voice recording for the characters in the upcoming expansion to Monster Hunter Rise. The team has assembled a wonderful cast of actors and they're pouring their hearts and soul into their performance." And this is coming once again from Director Suzuki, the director of Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Remember that just about every single one of the cutscenes now in Monster Hunter, this I believe started with Monster Hunter World, has pretty much featured voice acting in one way or another. So pretty much characters will be speaking. The only character that doesn't necessarily speak is the character that you make, but pretty much everyone else has some role to play and the language that they basically speak. There's both English and Japanese roles being played out in audio essentially, so you're not necessarily missing out in whatever language you're actually going to be playing. And obviously the only one missing is your main character, because you got to pick your own voice character's voice acting essentially, and you know, it is what it is. That's pretty much been the motto for Monster Hunter for years. Pretty much even going back before to Monster Hunter World, it's always been that way. So it's interesting that they just now started voice recording, which actually begs the question, what does that necessarily mean when it comes to how much voice acting is going to be in the game, if this is something that they're already doing so far ahead from the release of the game itself. And it just makes me kind of wonder, because they just recently put out that paid DLC where they're basically, you know, they're giving like YouTubers and like voice actors a role into the game where you can pay for extra DLC and you have more voice lines, more voice acting into the game. On top of that, you had some of the characters from the village already, from Camera Village, essentially doing roles where you are pretty much buying their voice acting for your own character. I've talked about Yomogi. I used her voice acting pretty much for my character. It cost about $3 for the voice pack, and you already have that option to already have that in there. So it just makes me wonder now, A, are they going to introduce way more characters into whatever that new area that you're going to be exploring? Remember that you're no longer going to be departing from Camera Village. You're going to be in another new area. This is something that we talked about last week. But heading forward, how many of those new characters are they going to introduce? How many of them are going to have voice packs, you know, essentially post-launch that you're going to be paying for extra DLC? And then on top of that, just how much voice acting is going to be in this expansion? If you consider it in comparison to Monster Hunter World Iceborne, essentially that had a lot of voice acting in just pretty much every single one of the cutscenes. So going forward, it does make me think that perhaps they are taking this to heart and they are going to try to make this into a bigger thing that Iceborne essentially ended up being, which is always going to be a good thing. Does that actually mean there's going to be more monsters, more areas in general? I don't know. That's not really what this is about. But pretty much the production seems to be more bigger, I guess I want to say, more focused on actually the story of what the Camera Village represents and what the surrounding areas are. Remember that there is a lot of lore that we haven't necessarily explored regarding Camera Village. We know that there's a lot of areas from Monster Hunter 2 and 3 that are being referenced in this game that we just don't necessarily get to see. Perhaps we're actually going to be able to visit one of those places. And at the end of the day, the fact that they're just doing a lot of voice work for this game, perhaps that's just something that could signify a bigger expansion than what we're actually expecting. Again, that's all speculation. That's not necessarily a guarantee or anything, but it's definitely worth considering that perhaps this is actually going to be a little bit bigger than what we're expecting. But that's about all the information that I have for you guys today. Just about every single week, we're going to be getting little tidbits of information. Remember that, once again, the game is set to launch next summer, so we're just going to be here a while, getting a little bit of information here and there, and hopefully, you know, it creates some narrative and some positivity around the game that it definitely needs. But if you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.